The courtroom fell so silent that even the ceiling fan sounded like a drum. The judge's glasses slid to the edge of his nose as he read the decision, each word landing like a hammer. "This court finds," he said, voice echoing off the pale walls of Ikeja High Court, "that Mr. Jordan Adeyemi holds no assets in his personal name. There is, therefore, no marital property to divide." Gasps rose from the benches. Cameras clicked like a flock of insects. At the petitioner's table, Aaliyah Johnson, lace gelly perched like a crown above a smooth, unblinking face, gripped the edge of the table so hard her knuckles went white. "What do you mean there's nothing?" she whispered, more to herself than to anyone. "He's a billionaire." Across from her, Jordan didn't move. He sat straight in a charcoal suit, a quiet piece of granite. The only sign of life was the soft rub of his thumb against the inside of his palm, a habit his mother said he picked up as a boy to keep from speaking out of anger. The judge cleared his throat. Documents submitted by the defense show that 2 weeks before the marriage and again 48 hours before the wedding ceremony, all major assets, including real estate, company shares and accounts, were lawfully transferred to the name of his mother, Mrs. Ronke Adeyemi, and to a charitable trust. "The court has verified the transfers." Counsel? Barrister Okonkwo, Jordan's lawyer, rose with the easy confidence of someone who had practiced this speech in his head for days. "My lord, Section 72 is clear. The petitioner may only claim what belongs to the respondent. And as the court has confirmed, nothing belongs to him personally." At the back, Mama Ronke sat with a simple scarf tied neatly under her chin. Her face was free of makeup, her look steady and respectful. People in the gallery craned to see the woman whose name had quietly swallowed a fortune. Aaliyah swung toward Jordan, eyes blazing. "You set me up," she hissed, the words a thin wire pulled tight. "You tricked me." Jordan's gaze never left the judge. If she expected him to shout or gloat, he gave her nothing. The judge's final words came like the closing of a thick book. Petition dismissed. The gavel tapped once. It sounded light, almost delicate, yet it settled over the room like the Harmattan haze. Reporters surged. Microphones appeared from thin air. "Mr. Adeyemi, is your wealth really gone? Mrs. Johnson, did you know about the transfers? Mama Ronke, how did you react when your son moved everything into your name?" A bailiff cut a path through the confusion. Jordan stood, nodded to the judge, then looked once at Aaliyah. Not cruelly. Not triumphantly. Just a look that said, "I heard what you said when you thought I wasn't listening." The TV lights flashed blue and white as they followed Jordan out. Aaliyah stood frozen, the world collapsing in slow motion. She had arrived expecting a clean, quick victory. Instead, the floor had given way beneath her. The moment Jordan's shoes touched the tile of the corridor, noise swarmed him. Questions, accusations, the high note of someone yelling his name like they owned it. He kept walking. Beside him, Barrister Okonkwo whispered, "Well done, sir. Just breathe." Outside, under a sky the color of steel, Jordan finally allowed himself a long breath. He turned toward the car park, then stopped. Across the lot, Aaliyah's bridesmaid from the wedding, Saad with a bright marigold scarf, watched him. She did not look angry. She looked curious. Then her phone buzzed. She read the message, lifted her eyes to Jordan again and walked away. The headlines would feast on the day. But the story had started long before the gavel fell. 2 weeks before the wedding, the night Lagos Lagoon glimmered like melted glass, Jordan took a call from the caterers and slipped onto the hotel's rooftop terrace. Below him, the city pulsed, okadas weaving like fish, the distant chant of a hawker, palm trees swaying as if keeping secrets. He finished the call and was about to return to the rehearsal dinner when he heard laughter on the far side of the terrace. "Girl, relax," a voice said. "1 month. 2 if you're feeling kind." Then boom, half. A second voice, low and syrupy, answered. "I'm telling you. After the wedding I'll divorce him immediately so I can acquire half of his wealth. The man is obsessed with me. He will sign whatever." Jordan stepped back into the shade of a pillar. A gust of wind pushed the conversation toward him like it had been saved for his ears only. "Do you know how much he's worth?" the first voice asked. "Enough to make it worth it," the second voice said. "Enough to start the life I deserve." He knew that voice. He had learned its tones like a song, how it softened around sorry, how it brightened around the word love. He did not see their faces. He did not need to. The story wrote itself in his stomach. A waiter swung through the terrace, a tray of puff-puff and suya skewers perfuming the air. His shoes clicked, clicked, clicked past Jordan's hiding place, a steady metronome in a suddenly new world. Jordan pressed his thumb into his palm. "Don't move. Don't make a sound." Downstairs, the hall thrummed with high-life music. Aunties in Asoebi moved like galaxies under the chandeliers. His friends from Atlanta argued about jollof, Ghana versus Niger as always. Mama Ronke sat smiling at a table, her eyes drinking in every detail as if she could store the joy for later. He found her by the door, about to step out for fresh air. "Mama," he said, and she turned, the soft lines of her face warmed by the lights. "I need to talk to you." "In this noise?" she laughed. "Is it about the plantain?" "Because I already told them twice." "It's serious." Her smile fell away, but her calm did not. That was her gift. Where others carried panic like a spare key, she carried calm. "Come." They walked to the small lounge next to the hall. The music dimmed to a faraway throb. Jordan told her, simply, what he had heard. Not the worst words but the truest. Mama listened with her head slightly bowed, the way she had listened to him as a child when he confessed to breaking a neighbor's window. When he finished, she sat quiet for a moment. "Your father used to say money is a mirror," she said at last. "It shows people the face they hide. Sometimes you must turn the mirror." Barrister Okonkwo answered their call on the first ring as if he too had been waiting. The plan that formed was clean, hard, and fast. Papers moved that same night. Shares slid, signed in neat blue ink. Titles shifted like palm fronds in a wind no one else could feel. A charitable trust was named after Jordan's late grandmother, the woman who had sold Accra by the road to send Mama to school. In the days that followed, Jordan returned to the ocean of wedding errands. He smiled for photos, paid vendors, ironed his agbada. He watched Aaliyah dance with his cousins, cheeks glowing, laughter like sweet tea. He answered her midnight texts. "Where are you? Are you okay?" With tenderness he wasn't sure he still felt. He wondered if she would stop before the edge. He wondered if she would see her own reflection and step back. On the wedding day, the talking drum called the sun to attention. Lace shimmered. Gold bangles chimed. "And he's blessed," uncles advised. When Aaliyah walked down the aisle, the hall inhaled. She was undeniably beautiful, eyes wide, veil like smoke. She reached him with a smile that never touched her eyes. He told himself he was imagining that part. He told himself many things that day to survive the moments between vows. They danced until the lights surrendered. People pressed money to their foreheads. Someone's uncle cried into his stew. The new couple waved goodbye under a rain of tiny sparklers, and the car glided away, glass catching the city's night like broken stars. The first crack came 3 days later, a message from an unknown number that simply read, "Have you told him yet?" Jordan stared at the screen, thumb hovering. He did not reply. He didn't need to. The court papers arrived a week after that, the ink so fresh it still smelled like thunder. And now the gavel had fallen. Outside the courthouse, the air weighed heavy with heat and judgment. Aaliyah stood on the steps, the reporters' questions breaking against her like waves against a stubborn rock. "How does it feel to lose? Did you love him at all? Was this a plan from the start?" Her jaw tightened. She said nothing. A car door opened behind her. She turned and slid into the back seat without looking at anyone. The car pulled away. Jordan watched it go, then turned to his mother. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I am fine," Mama said. "You?" He thought about the rooftop, the two voices, the straight path to this very moment. He nodded once. "I'm okay." Barrister Okonkwo checked his watch. "We should leave before someone thinks of another camera angle." They started toward the car. That was when Jordan's phone buzzed again. An unknown number. He almost ignored it, then saw the first line of the message on his lock screen. "You think you won today? Meet me at the old warehouse by 3rd Mainland Bridge at midnight if you want to know what your wife planned next. Come alone." Jordan looked up. Across the lot, Saad, the bridesmaid in marigold, stood beneath a neem tree, her phone in her hand, her eyes on him. She lifted one finger to her lips as if to say shoo. He felt the weight of the day tilt, as if the story had only pretended to end. He slipped the phone into his pocket, climbed into the car beside his mother and told the driver to move. Behind them, in the heat that rose off the asphalt, a second message arrived, colder than the first. "If you don't come, someone you love will pay for what you did." Lagos at midnight is a different city. The daytime horns fall quiet. The lagoon breathes. Streetlights buzz like patient insects. Jordan stood by the window of his penthouse, watching the glow of 3rd Mainland Bridge stretch across the water like a spine of fire. Behind him the house was still. The clock in the hallway ticked. Somewhere in the kitchen, the fridge hummed a steady, lonely note. He had told his driver to take Mama home. He said he needed to stop by the office and pick up files. She had looked at him for a long moment, that mother's look that weighed truth against love. "Be careful," she said. "More careful than you think you need to be." He changed into dark clothes, laced his shoes, and tucked his phone into his pocket. He considered calling the police. But the message had used a knife made from fear, someone you love. He could not risk police sirens chasing away the only clue he had. His own security insisted on following at a distance. He allowed it, but he told them to keep far enough away that he wouldn't see their headlights. If this was a trap, he needed to spring it on his terms. The city slid past his windshield. Silent car lots, sleeping danfos, a woman at a kiosk counting money under a bare bulb. When he joined the bridge, the road opened like a ribbon, the lagoon black and wide to his left. He slowed at the exit and turned down toward the strip of warehouses that had been busy when he was a boy, when his father still took him on weekend drives to teach him the language of the city. Now most of them were skeletons, tin roofs lifting at the corners, walls painted with fading company names, doors chained like tired men. He parked 2 blocks away and finished the walk on foot. The air smelled like salt and iron. He reached the warehouse named in the message and stood in the shadow of the wall. The metal door was cracked. A weak light glowed inside. "Evening, Mr. Adeyemi," a voice said behind him. Jordan turned. The figure stepped out from behind a stack of pallets. Sod. The marigold scarf was gone. Her hair was tied back. She wore a denim jacket and jeans and the look of someone who had not slept. "You sent the messages," he said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because the story you think you're in is smaller than the story you're actually in." She pushed the door. The hinge whined, and the light inside flickered like it had been surprised by company. The warehouse smelled like damp concrete. There were lines on the floor where old machines had once stood, and a cat darted across their path with a high offended sound. Saad led him to a folding table beneath a hanging bulb. On the table sat a slim laptop. She pressed a key and the screen woke to a folder labeled with a single word, Lark. "Before you go all lawyer on me," she said, "I need you to listen, then I'll show you." He stood very still. He could feel the bridges rumble in the bones of the floor. "I'm listening." "Aaliyah didn't come up with that plan by herself," Saad said. "She's smart, but that line about divorcing fast? That wasn't her voice. It belongs to someone else." "Who?" Saada's jaw tightened. "A man who calls himself Lark. He runs a ring. They find wealthy men, especially young ones with old money and soft spots. They package brides. Sometimes the brides know. Sometimes they're pressured. Sometimes both. They whisper you to the edge. You jump because it looks like love. And you know this because? Because I almost jumped." The words came flat, like a truth she had rehearsed until all the tears had dried. 2 years ago, after my father died, I was broke. I met Lark through a friend of a friend. He said he could fix my life. I said yes. Then I found out what he really fixed. I ran. But you don't walk away from people like that without leaving footprints. Jordan looked at the folder again. "This proves it. It proves a lot. It won't fix your heart, but it might fix your future." She clicked. The folder opened into videos, screenshots, spreadsheets. Saad played a recording. At first there was only static, then a room came into view. Hotel curtains drawn, table lamp on, 2 people blurred by the angle. Voices clear. "After the wedding, we wait the minimum for appearances," a man said. "Not Lagos, not Atlanta." His accent sat in the middle, slippery. "Then you file. Emphasize emotional neglect. We push. He pays to make it go away." A second voice, Aaliyah's, asked a small question. "And if he doesn't pay?" "We make him. Everyone pays. One way or another." Saad clicked to a spreadsheet. Names. Amounts. Dates. Familiar companies listed in the targets column like items on a grocery list. Jordan's own company name appeared near the bottom with a date that matched the week he proposed. "Where did you get this?" Jordan asked. "The same way women like me have always gotten the truth," Saad said. "By being invisible until we aren't. I was in the room once when he stepped out. I copied his drive to a mirror. I've been building this file in pieces ever since." She swallowed. "I should have brought it to someone sooner." "I know." Jordan pressed his thumb into his palm. "Why bring it to me now?" "Because your courtroom move today made Lark angry. Angry men make mistakes. He'll come for you. He'll come for your mother. He'll clean Aaliyah off the board when she stops being useful. If we move first, we might save all 3 of you." "Save Aaliyah?" The name tasted strange. Saad nodded. "I'm not asking you to trust her. I'm asking you not to let him use her twice." Jordan stood, letting the steady hum of the bridge fill the seconds. He remembered Aaliyah in his kitchen, barefoot, laughing at how he burned the first batch of pancakes. He remembered her on the rooftop, the words he was never meant to hear. 2 songs, 1 voice. If what you're saying is true, he said, we go to the police. Not yet, Saad said. He has feelers there. We need a hook before we give them the fish. Tonight's hook is here. She pointed to another file, a schedule. It showed a meeting at the same warehouse an hour from now. The attendees were listed by initials, but one set of initials was familiar in a way that made his throat close. All right. Ronke Adeyemi. He shook his head once hard. No. He wants leverage, Saad said quietly. He messaged your mother earlier today claiming to be from one of your foundation partners, asking to meet to discuss the trust you created. If she said yes, she's coming here. Jordan pulled out his phone. He dialed his mother. It rang. It rang again. It went to voicemail, the tiny beep opening a door to a room he did not want to enter. He called the driver. This time he answered. Sir? Is my mother with you? No, sir. I dropped her at home at 9:30. She left again at 10, sir. She said she was meeting Mrs. Becker about the girl's scholarship. She didn't take me. She took a taxi. The warehouse seemed to tilt. The light over the table buzzed louder. Okay, Jordan said. He forced his voice to stand straight. Okay. We changed the terms. If he thinks he's meeting my mother and some charity staff at midnight, then he is going to meet me and people he didn't plan for. Your security? Saad asked. Close but not obvious, Jordan said. He texted a pin and 3 fast lines to his head of security, then added a 4th line that would make sense only to them. Use the quiet kit. Saad closed the laptop. I'll bait him out, she said. He believes I crawled back after the wedding. I told him I had some of your emails. He thinks I want forgiveness. You're sure he'll come in person? He likes to collect his own trophies. They took positions. Saad remained near the table. Jordan hid behind stacked crates that looked like they once held bottles. The minutes were slow drops in a bucket. Somewhere outside, a horn sounded, long and lonely. Then tires hissed on gravel. A door closed with careful control. Footsteps. 2 sets at first, then 3, then quiet. A man stepped into the light. He wore a neat shirt and clean sneakers and a face you wouldn't remember if you met him at a chance lunch. He smiled at Saad with all his teeth, the way salesmen do of old habit. You, he said. Back where you belong. Don't be dramatic, Saad said. Did you bring the cash? He laughed. And here I was thinking you came for love. 2 men flanked him, broad-shouldered, eyes scanning. One of them ran a hand along the crates where Jordan stood. His fingers touched wood, then lifted. The man shrugged. Where is she? Lark asked. Who? Saad asked. Don't play, he said, the smile slipping. Mama Adeyemi. I know her tidy feet by the way they walk. She was supposed to be 5 minutes early. Saad tilted her head. Maybe she found a better offer. Lark's smile vanished completely. He moved closer, and for a moment Jordan saw what lived under the plain face, a patient cruelty, soft as ash. You disappoint me, Saad, he said. You always did. She disappoints you because she learned your tricks, a voice said from the dark behind Lark. All 3 men turned. A silhouette stepped out from the far corner, where the walls met the shadow of a broken window. He wore a long coat though the night was warm, and he set a small recorder on an overturned crate. Aaliyah. Her face was bare, no wedding makeup, no glossy smile. The room made a new sound, the sound people make when a story they expected to end begins again in a different key. I told you I could bring him, Aaliyah said to Lark, her voice steady, too steady. You wanted a trophy. I brought the whole shelf. For half a heartbeat, Jordan could not breathe. He felt the old ache rise, then something else took its place. Something sharp, like caution, like hope afraid to speak. Lark's eyes narrowed. And why would you do that? Aaliyah lifted her chin. Because I found out who you were planning to hurt next. Who? Lark sneered. Aaliyah looked toward the door. It opened. 2 figures stepped in. The first was a taxi driver rolling his neck nervously, the second was a woman in a plain wrapper and scarf, her hands free, her posture unafraid. She pulled off the scarf. Mama Ronke. She looked at Jordan's hiding place. Then she looked at Lark, not with fear, but with the same calm she used to quiet storms at home. I believe, she said, we have all arrived. And then, before anyone could speak, the warehouse lights snapped off, plunging the room into a darkness so clean it erased every face. In the dark came a sound like a match in a dry field, quick footsteps, a scuffle, a sharp, low cry, and the slam of the metal door being chained from the outside. The clang of the chain door rang through the darkness like a verdict. Then came silence, thick, breathless, waiting. Someone moved, a boot scraped against concrete. Sod. Jordan called softly. Here, she whispered from the far corner. Don't move. Someone's outside. Jordan's pulse drummed in his ears. He reached for his phone, the glow of the screen slicing the blackness just long enough for him to see faint outlines. Mama Ronke's scarf, Aaliyah's trembling hands. Sod crouched near the table, her face ghost-lit by the phone light. Outside, a car engine coughed to life and idled. Then another sound, the faint click of a lighter. Someone was still there. Aaliyah's voice came low, shaken but fierce. He locked us in. Sod exhaled. That's what he does. When the trap closes, he cleans up. Mama Ronke, calm even now, said quietly, we must find another way out. Fear makes bad plans. They fanned out, using their phone lights like tiny torches. The warehouse, long abandoned, had broken windows set high on the walls, a service door half buried in crates, and a small office partitioned off at the back. Jordan pushed through debris, shoulder brushing cobwebs, eyes searching for anything that looked like an escape. The smell of kerosene reached them first, faint, drifting in from under the door. Sod froze. He's going to burn it, she whispered. Jordan's stomach turned cold. We need to move, now. He ran to the service door and yanked. The handle gave, but the frame was rusted. Sod, help me. Together they heaved until the hinge shrieked and cracked. The gap opened half a hand's width, enough for air, not bodies. Behind them, Mama Ronke had moved to the small office. Come here, she said calmly. The wall here is weaker. Someone once tried to break in. They joined her. A sheet of plywood covered a hole where bricks had been knocked out. Jordan kicked. What? Twice. The wood splintered. He pulled a metal rod from nearby scrap and levered the hole open. Then from outside a voice called, smooth, amused, echoing through the sheet metal. Jordan. Are you still the smart one? It was Lark. Walk away. Jordan shouted. The police will find you. Lark laughed. You think anyone will find you before this place becomes a memory? Don't worry, Billonaire. You'll die the way all smart men die. Sure, they had time left. The footsteps faded. Then a sound like liquid pouring from a canister. Then the hiss of fire taking breath. Flames licked under the door, orange light cutting up the walls. The heat bloomed fast. Aaliyah coughed. He's really doing it. Quiet, Mama Ronke said. Her voice was steady as rain. Jordan, break that wall. God gave you strength for more than lifting money. He slammed the rod again and again. Dust flew. A crack widened. Cool night air brushed his face. Sod and Aaliyah joined him, pushing bricks out one by one until the gap grew large enough. Go, he ordered. No, you first, Aaliyah said. He looked at her, the woman he'd once planned to build forever with, now coughing in smoke beside him, her face streaked with soot. I'm not leaving you. She gave a dry laugh. You shouldn't have loved me, Jordan. I didn't deserve it. Maybe, he said, gripping her wrist, but I did. He pulled her through the gap. Sod followed, then Mama Ronke. Jordan climbed out last. Behind them, the fire roared, consuming the warehouse's insides. They stumbled into the open field behind the complex. The sky glowed red, smoke rolling up toward the bridge lights. From the far side, car doors slammed. There. Sod pointed. He's heading for the dock. Jordan's security SUV, called by his earlier text, turned the corner just then. 3 men in black stepped out, guns drawn, faces set. Sir, the lead one called. Orders. Catch him alive, Jordan said. They ran. The dock was a narrow stretch of wood that jutted into the dark water. Lark sprinted across it, a small speedboat tied at the end. But before he could untie it, one of the guards fired, a warning shot that split the air. Lark froze, hands half raised. It's over, Jordan said, stepping closer, chest heaving. Lark turned slowly, a small smile on his face. Over? You haven't learned, have you? The game never ends, Adeyemi. It just changes players. He reached into his jacket. The guards tensed, weapons raised. But instead of a gun, he pulled out a small remote, black with a red button. Step back, Jordan shouted. Lark's smile widened. You moved your money but not your secrets. He pressed the button. A loud metallic bang erupted back near the warehouse, an explosion that threw sparks into the night sky. Flames flared higher. Sod screamed. He planted more fuel. The guards rushed forward, tackling Lark to the ground. The remote skittered away into the dirt. Lark fought, spitting curses, until one guard's elbow caught his jaw and silence took him. Jordan knelt, breathing hard, looking toward the burning building. The heat licked his face even from here. Aaliyah dropped beside him, coughing, tears cutting lines through the soot on her cheeks. "I didn't know it would go this far," she said. "I swear I didn't." He turned to her, eyes fierce. "Then tell me, Aaliyah. When did you know? Before or after you said you'd divorce me?" She couldn't answer. She bowed her head. "He promised me security. I thought I could control it. But when I heard him talking about your mother, I realized he never planned to stop." Saad approached, clutching her laptop bag tight. "We have enough to expose everything," she said. "Emails, recordings, the files. But we'll need help to stay alive." Jordan looked at his mother. "Mama, are you hurt?" She smiled faintly. "Hurt? My son, I have seen worse storms than this. But now we fight the right way. The world must know." Sirens wailed in the distance. Police, finally. Jordan's guards lit flares to guide them. Aaliyah sat apart, staring at the flames. Her voice was small when she spoke. "Jordan, will you ever forgive me?" He didn't answer immediately. He watched the orange glow fade into smoke. "Forgiveness isn't a door you walk through," he said at last. "It's a bridge you build. If you mean it, start building." The police arrived, questions flying. Lark was handcuffed, bleeding slightly from his lip, still smirking. He looked at Jordan as they dragged him toward the patrol car. "You think you won tonight? Wait till you see who owns the papers on your trust." Jordan frowned. "What are you talking about?" Lark's grin widened. "Your mother's signature might not be as private as you think." Then he was shoved into the car, doors slammed, sirens rising again. Jordan turned slowly toward Mama Ronke. She stood calm, but her eyes flickered just once, the faintest tremor of unease. "Mama?" he asked. She took his hand. "There are things you don't yet know, my son. Let's go home before the rest of the night burns too." The police lights painted them blue as they walked away from the flames. In the distance, the warehouse collapsed inward, sparks shooting into the black sky like lost stars. Jordan glanced at Saad and Aaliyah, one ally born from betrayal, the other from guilt. He knew the story wasn't finished. The line Lark had thrown about the trust echoed in his mind. If his mother's name wasn't safe, then maybe the fortune he thought protected had already begun to slip through another pair of hands. As the cars rolled away, Saad whispered, "He's right about one thing, you know." "What?" Jordan asked. "The game never ends." Jordan looked out the window, eyes on the dying fire. "Then we play smarter." He didn't see it yet, the shadowed black car parked half a mile away, headlights off. Inside sat a woman with a phone pressed to her ear. "Phase 2, she said softly. "Begin." The line went dead. Before the next chapter begins, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Jordan's shoes that night? Would you have gone to the warehouse alone? And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends who love African drama stories full of suspense. Also, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our viewers all over the world. The following morning, the Adeyemi mansion in Ikoyi was unusually quiet. The birds that usually sang in the mango trees seemed to sense the tension that hung in the air like harmattan dust. The police had come and gone. Lark was locked up for the night, but Jordan couldn't sleep. He stood by the glass wall of his study, staring at the rising sun, its orange glow washing over the lagoon. He'd been up since 4 a.m., combing through documents, passwords, and bank records. Something about Lark's last words, "Your mother's signature might not be as private as you think," refused to leave his mind. He replayed it like an echo in a cave. His phone vibrated. "Saad." "Good morning," he said. "Morning?" she replied, voice thick with exhaustion. "It's only morning for the living. I haven't closed my eyes since we left that dock. You said you had a copy of the trust papers." "Yes. I've been going through them." "And Jordan?" She hesitated. "There's something strange." "What?" "The signature on the Second Amendment document, the one transferring all your companies and properties to your mother's name, doesn't match the one on the first page." Jordan frowned. "That's impossible. My mother signed everything herself. I was there." "Maybe you were," Saad said. "But someone tampered with the digital file afterward. The metadata shows it was modified from a computer in Abuja, 2 days before the wedding." Jordan's voice dropped. "Abuja? We've never had business there." "Exactly." He looked toward his mother's door across the hall. She hadn't come down yet. He could hear faint sounds, a kettle boiling, her slow movements in the kitchen. "Saad, meet me at the office in an hour." Bring everything you found, he said and hung up. He walked to the dining room. Mama Ronke was there, dressed neatly in a sky blue wrapper and a matching head tie. Her Bible sat open beside a steaming cup of tea. "Good morning, my son," she said warmly. "Did you sleep?" "Not much," he said, forcing a smile. "Mama, I need to ask you something important." She looked up, eyes soft. "You don't have to sound like a lawyer. Speak like my son." He took a seat across from her. "When we moved everything to your name before the wedding, did anyone else help with the documents? Anyone who might have had access to the trust?" Her eyes flickered just slightly. "I told you I used your father's old attorney, Mr. Adeyemi. He was the one who drafted everything properly." "Yes, but after that, did anyone else see it?" She stirred her tea slowly, her gold bracelet clinking softly against the cup. "What are you asking me, Jordan?" "Mama," he leaned forward. "Lark said something before he was arrested. He hinted that the trust might not be as safe as we think. Sa just found proof that someone modified the files from Abuja." She set down the spoon, her expression unreadable. "And you think I would let that happen under my watch?" "I didn't say that." "No," she said, her tone suddenly sharp. "But you think it." He paused, the air thick between them. Then she sighed, her eyes softening. "Jordan, I know you are scared. You have built too much to lose it now. But everything in that trust is safe. I promise you." Before he could answer, the doorbell rang. The maid hurried to open it, and 2 police officers stepped in, followed by Inspector Balogun, the same man who had questioned them at the warehouse the night before. "Mr. Adeyemi," he greeted with a nod. "We need to discuss something urgent." "What is it, Inspector?" He opened a brown envelope and spread out photos on the dining table. "Last night, while we were securing the warehouse, another explosion took place in Ikoyi, near the Marina Vault." Jordan's chest tightened. "What vault?" "The family vault that stores your backup documents and company seals. It was broken into and some files were taken. We believe it's connected to the same group." Mama Ronke's hand trembled slightly, spilling a bit of tea. "My God." Jordan clenched his jaw. "Who did this?" Inspector Balogun slid one photo forward, a blurry CCTV image of a woman wearing a black hoodie, face half hidden. But the gold bracelet on her wrist gleamed clearly under the light. Jordan's heart dropped. He knew that bracelet. He'd seen it every Sunday morning since childhood, a gift his father had given his mother on their anniversary. The room went still. "Mama," he said quietly, "where were you last night after we left the station?" Her eyes flickered between him and the inspector. "You're accusing me?" "I'm asking you," Jordan said, his voice rising. "I went to church," she shouted suddenly. "I went to pray. To thank God that my son survived a night of fire and betrayal." "You think I would betray you too?" Inspector Balogun folded the photo calmly. "Mrs. Adeyemi, we're not making accusations. But we need you to come with us to make a statement. It's procedure." Jordan stood frozen as 2 officers gently approached her. "Mama, please," he said. "Just tell them the truth. We'll fix this." She rose, regal even in the chaos. "The truth, my son, has never needed fixing. It reveals itself in time." She looked at him, eyes proud, sad, distant, and allowed the officers to escort her out. When the door closed, Jordan sank into a chair. His world was spinning again. Saad arrived 20 minutes later, laptop in hand, hair tied back in a bun. "You look like you saw a ghost." He handed her the photo. She studied it. "That bracelet." "Yes," he said flatly. "It's hers." Saad exhaled. "Jordan, listen. There's something else you need to know. I dug deeper into Lark's network this morning. The real leader isn't Lark. He's just a middleman." Jordan looked up sharply. "Then who?" Saad turned the laptop toward him. The screen displayed a company registration document from Abuja. The name at the top, Ronke Holdings. Under founder and chairperson, Mrs. Ronke Adeyemi. He blinked, not understanding. "That's my mother's name." "I know," Saad said quietly. "But the company was registered a month before you transferred your wealth into her name. And guess who the listed consultant was?" She clicked to the next page. "Been a Lark son." "Lark." Jordan stood, shock making his voice hollow. "My mother was in business with him?" "Maybe not willingly," Saad said. "Maybe he used her. Or maybe she used him." Aaliyah's voice cut in from the doorway. She had come in unnoticed, dressed in plain clothes, eyes red but steady. "Jordan, you don't know your mother as well as you think. I overheard her once. Before the wedding. She told one of her friends on the phone, a woman must hold the key, not the son. Men forget their mothers when they become kings. Jordan turned to her, disbelief mixing with pain. You're saying she did this to control me? Aaliyah nodded slowly. She loves you, but her love comes with ownership. Saad rubbed her temples. If that's true, then Lark wasn't lying about the trust. He was warning you, in his own twisted way. Jordan walked to the window, heart pounding. His entire life had been built on loyalty. Loyalty to a mother who raised him alone after his father's death. Could she have used that love to secure his empire for herself? He felt the weight of every breath. I need to see her, he said finally. Now. Saad stepped closer. Jordan, she's being questioned. Let the police. No, he snapped. If she did this, she'll tell me herself. He grabbed his car keys and stormed toward the door. Aaliyah and Saad exchanged a glance, then followed him. As they pulled out of the mansion gate, the air felt charged, like thunder waiting to break. The police station loomed ahead, but as they turned the corner, a convoy of black SUVs roared past in the opposite direction, sirens off, windows tinted. Jordan's stomach sank. That's her escort, he said. But before he could say another word, the unthinkable happened. A blinding flash and an explosion tore through the street half a kilometer ahead. The shockwave rattled their car windows. People screamed. Flames burst into the sky. Saad gasped. That was her car. Jordan hit the brakes, frozen. The smoke rose fast, thick, merciless. He threw the door open and ran, ignoring the shouts behind him. When he reached the wreck, twisted metal lay scattered across the road. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Through the smoke he saw the license plate, 8700R. His mother's car. He fell to his knees. No. Mama. The fire roared louder, swallowing every other sound. And somewhere behind him, unseen, a black sedan slowed to a stop. The tinted window rolled down just enough for a woman's hand, pale and delicate, to toss a small gold bracelet onto the ground before the car sped away. The same bracelet Mama Ronke had always worn. The crowd gasped as it landed near Jordan's feet. He picked it up, staring at it through the tears and smoke, a single question pounding through his mind like thunder. If that was her bracelet, then who was in that car? The flames turned the night sky orange, flickering against the chaos below. Jordan stood in the middle of the street, his mother's gold bracelet in his trembling hand, staring at the burning wreck. The crowd pressed closer, phones up, recording. Sirens wailed as firemen battled the inferno. He couldn't move. His breath came shallow, the world spinning around him. Aaliyah reached him first, grabbing his arm. Jordan, we have to step back. It's going to blow again. But he didn't hear her. His voice was low, almost a whisper. That's her car, Aaliyah. That's my mother's car. Saad appeared beside them, coughing through the smoke. Jordan, listen to me. Look around. Does this make sense to you? The timing, the explosion, everything. Someone planned this. Jordan finally turned to her, eyes glassy but sharp. Who? Before Saad could answer, Inspector Balogun arrived, his team clearing the area. Everyone stand back. No one near the car. Jordan moved toward him. Inspector, my mother was in that car. Balogun held up a hand. We don't know that yet. We've only found a body in the passenger seat. The driver's seat was empty. The words cut through the smoke like lightning. Empty? Jordan repeated. Yes. Either she wasn't in it or she got out before the explosion. Saad exchanged a quick look with Aaliyah. Jordan, your mother might still be alive. Jordan's eyes narrowed. Then where is she? Balogun turned toward the wreck again. We'll find out soon enough. For now, you three need to get to safety. Whoever did this might still be watching. Jordan looked down at the bracelet again, still warm from the fire. Inspector, he said quietly, someone threw this near the car. That means she wasn't wearing it when the explosion happened. Balogun frowned. Then that someone wants you to believe she's dead. The realization hit like ice water. If someone staged his mother's death, there was only one reason, to disappear. Saad pulled Jordan aside. Jordan, think about it. Your mother was tied to Lark's company. If the police started digging, she'd be exposed. What if she faked her own death to escape? Jordan's jaw clenched. No. She wouldn't leave me like this. Not without a reason. Or maybe that is her reason, Saad murmured. To protect you, or to protect something bigger. Aaliyah touched Jordan's arm gently. Jordan, let's go home. The police will handle this. He shook his head. No. If she's alive, she'll run to the only place she trusts, the family estate in Abeokuta. That's where my father built his first company. That's where she hides when the world is too loud. Saad nodded. Then that's where we go. Balogun overheard. If she contacts you, let me know immediately, Mr. Adeyemi. Jordan didn't answer. He was already walking to the car, his mother's bracelet clenched tight in his hand. Abeokuta, 6 hours later. The old Adeyemi estate sat on a hill surrounded by palm trees and silence. The mansion was older than Jordan, its white paint faded, the windows dusted with cobwebs. The gate was unlocked, swinging slightly in the wind. Something's off, Saad whispered as they stepped out of the car. Jordan pushed the gate open. Mama never leaves this place open. The compound was empty. The air smelled faintly of perfume, his mother's. The scent hit him hard. They stepped into the main hall. Dust motes floated in the sunlight. The portraits on the wall seemed to watch them. His father, his grandparents, the Adeyemi line of men and women who had built an empire from nothing. Then Saad noticed something on the grand piano, a sealed envelope, propped up neatly with Jordan's name written in perfect cursive. She handed it to him. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. My son. If you are reading this, it means the storm has broken faster than I planned. You must not trust anyone, not even the police. The trust documents were never about control, they were about protection. I did what I had to do to keep our family name safe. There are men more dangerous than Lark, and they wanted everything your father built. Lark was only their servant. If I survive this, I will find you when it's safe. If I don't, the key to your father's real estate files lies where he proposed to me, the place where the world meets water. Trust no one. Mama. Jordan read it twice, his pulse racing. Where he proposed to her, he murmured. The place where the world meets water. Aaliyah frowned. That sounds like Lagos Lagoon, Saad finished. The bridge. Third mainland. Jordan's eyes sharpened. She's telling us where to find the real documents, and maybe the truth about who's after us. Before they could move, a faint sound came from upstairs, a floorboard creaking. Everyone froze. Saad whispered, We're not alone. Jordan motioned for silence. They crept up the stairs, every step deliberate, slow. The second-floor hallway stretched long and dark. A door at the far end was slightly ajar. Jordan pushed it open and froze. A man stood by the window, back turned, wearing a dark suit. He didn't flinch. Who are you? Jordan demanded. The man turned slowly. He was tall, calm, with gray at his temples, and eyes that looked eerily familiar. My name, he said, voice deep and steady, is Michael Adeyemi. Jordan felt the world tilt. That's impossible. My father's dead. The man smiled sadly. That's what your mother needed you to believe. Saad gasped. You faked your death? Michael nodded. To protect you both. But your mother's move to transfer the wealth into her name disrupted the plan. Lark and his people came after her, after us. Jordan stepped forward, disbelief and anger warring in his voice. You're saying all of this, the trust, the fire, the lies, was part of a plan you both made? Michael sighed. It was meant to end quietly. But Ronke went rogue. She thought she could outsmart them. Now she's missing and the people after her will stop at nothing. Who are they? Saad asked. Michael's eyes darkened. The Syndicate of Six. They've controlled half the business empires in West Africa for decades. Your mother was once part of them, long before she married me. Jordan's stomach twisted. So all these years. She's been fighting to keep you out of their reach, Michael said quietly. But now they'll come for you too. They think you have access to the real estate files. The ones that prove how their empire was built, and who they destroyed to build it. The night air was thick with fear and confusion as Jordan, Saad, and Aaliyah huddled beneath the giant palm trees that bordered the old Abeokuta estate. The forest whispered around them, crickets, rustling leaves, the distant bark of a dog, and still Jordan's mind screamed louder than the night itself. His mother was alive. His father was dead, again. Or maybe not. Nothing made sense anymore. He clutched the metallic drive like it was the last piece of sanity left in his life. Saad was the first to speak, her voice hoarse. Jordan, we need to find somewhere safe before daylight. Those men will come back once they realize we escaped. Jordan's gaze was far away. No. We're not running anymore. If my mother sent that message, she's leading us somewhere. We follow it. Aaliyah frowned. You can't just trust a text, Jordan. What if it's a trap? It's her, he said quietly. The signature, R.A., that's how she always signed her letters. She wants me to see what's on this drive. Saad opened her laptop, connecting the drive with trembling hands. Then let's find out what she wants us to see. The screen flickered to life. A folder appeared, Adeyemi files, locked with a password. Jordan leaned closer. Try Ronke 2024. Access denied. Try Adeyemi Legacy, Aaliyah suggested. Access denied again. Saad sighed. If she doesn't want anyone but you to open it, then the password is something personal. Think Jordan. Something only the two of you would know. Jordan's mind raced back through childhood memories, birthdays, holidays, moments of laughter that now felt like someone else's life. Then it hit him. My father's favorite saying, he whispered. He typed, mirror never lies. The folder unlocked. Inside were dozens of video files, emails, and scanned documents. Saad clicked the first one, labeled for Jordan, when it's time. The screen filled with his mother's face. She was sitting in a dimly lit room, wearing a black scarf and speaking directly into the camera. My son, if you are watching this, it means the lies have finally caught up with us. Your father and I built this empire on truth, but we hid from men who built theirs on blood. The Syndicate of Six, remember that name, has its roots deep in everything. Business, government, even the courts. Lark was one of them. So was my lawyer, Adissa. I pretended to work with them to protect what's ours, but when I saw what they planned for you, how they meant to use your marriage to access your inheritance, I knew I had to act first. The trust transfer was never about greed, my son. It was to pull you out of their reach. But I made a mistake. I underestimated how far they'd go. Jordan's throat tightened. His mother's eyes on the screen looked older, haunted. By the time you see this, I may already be gone. But you must go to the place I call the Mirror of Water. There you'll find the final piece, the one that will expose them all. Saad paused the video. The Mirror of Water. Aaliyah whispered, that sounds like a code. Jordan nodded slowly. She's talking about the lagoon again. The bridge was where she and my father first met. That's where she wants me to go. Saad bit her lip. Then we go there now before they get ahead of us. But before they could pack the laptop, headlights flashed through the trees, bright and sweeping. Someone's coming, Aaliyah hissed. Jordan grabbed the drive and they ducked behind a wall of overgrown shrubs. The hum of engines grew louder. 3 black SUVs rolled into the compound, tires crunching gravel. Armed men spilled out, sweeping the area with flashlights. Their uniforms bore no police insignia, just black jackets and covered faces. Saad cursed under her breath. Their syndicate. Jordan pointed toward the back fence. This way. They crawled low, slipping through the bushes toward a dirt path that led down to the river. One of the men shouted, he had spotted movement. Gunfire ripped through the trees. Bullets shattered branches inches above their heads. They ran. The forest opened suddenly to the wide, moonlit Ogun River. The current was fast, glittering silver in the darkness. There's a boat. Aaliyah shouted, pointing to a small wooden canoe tied to a post. They jumped in. Saad untied the rope, and Jordan shoved off within or just as more gunfire exploded from the bank. Bullets hit the water around them, sending up splashes. The boat rocked violently. Row! Saad screamed. Row! Jordan rowed until his arms burned. The current caught them, sweeping them downstream faster than he expected. The shouts on the riverbank faded. After what felt like hours, they drifted into silence, just the sound of the river and their ragged breathing. Aaliyah sat back, clutching her chest. That was too close. Saad nodded. If they wanted to kill us, they would have aimed better. They want that drive. Jordan looked down at it again. Then we make sure they never get it. By dawn, they reached a small fishing village near the edge of the lagoon. Children waved from the shore, and fishermen watched curiously as they dragged the boat onto land. An old woman with a basket on her head approached. You people are not from here, she said in Yoruba-accented English. What are you running from? Jordan forced a smile. Just trouble, Mama. We're looking for a place near the bridge, the Mirror of Water. The woman's eyes sharpened. You mean the old jetty by Third Mainland? That place has been abandoned for years. That's the one, Saad said. The woman frowned. Be careful there. People who go, they don't come back. Jordan exchanged a look with Saad and Aaliyah. Then we'll be the ones who do. Later that night, Old Jetty, Third Mainland Bridge. The air was heavy with mist. The lagoon stretched endlessly under the bridge, lights reflecting like broken glass. The wooden jetty creaked beneath their feet. Saad held up her phone's flashlight. There's nothing here, Jordan. Just old planks and trash. Look closer, he said. He moved toward a rusted bench near the edge, the one his mother had always talked about. He knelt and brushed away debris. Something metallic glinted under the wood. A small box locked. Aaliyah crouched beside him. Open it. Jordan forced the latch open. Inside was a single flash drive and a photograph. He lifted the photo. It showed his mother standing beside a man in a white suit. Not his father. Sada's eyes widened. Wait, that's Adeyemi, the lawyer. Jordan stared at the back of the photo. A message was scrawled there in his mother's handwriting. If you're reading this, Jordan, then you know who the real traitor is. Trust the mirror, it shows what's hidden. Before he could respond, a faint click echoed from behind them. A voice spoke, calm and chilling. She's right, Jordan. The mirror always shows the truth. They turned slowly. Standing on the jetty, a gun pointed straight at Jordan's chest, was Inspector Balogun. Aaliyah gasped. Inspector? Sada's voice hardened. Your syndicate. Balogun smiled. You think a story like yours ends with a police badge? No, Mr. Adeyemi. This is where it truly begins. He gestured to the flash drive in Jordan's hand. Hand it over. You've already lost enough family for one lifetime. Jordan's mind raced. The water shimmered behind him, his mother's mirror of water. He looked down, then back at Balogun. You killed my father, didn't you? He said quietly. Balogun chuckled. Killed? No. We don't kill men like him. We replace them. Sada's eyes went wide. Replace. Balogun nodded. The man who died in that house wasn't your father, Jordan. Your real father has been working for us for years. Jordan's breath caught. That's impossible. Is it? Balogun said, stepping closer, the gun steady. Ask your mother when you see her. Jordan's grip tightened around the drive. He glanced toward the dark water beside them. One move, one chance. Balogun smirked. Don't do anything foolish. You'll only... Before he could finish, Jordan hurled the drive into the lagoon. It splashed into the dark water. Balogun's eyes flared. No. Jordan dove after it, vanishing beneath the surface just as Balogun fired. The bullet tore through the night. Aaliyah screamed. Jordan. Saad grabbed her arm. Get down? Another gunshot echoed. The jetty shook. Then silence, only the soft lapping of waves. Balogun scanned the water with his flashlight, jaw tight. Find the body, he ordered his men. But beneath the surface, unseen, Jordan's eyes opened, cold, determined, and his hand closed around the sinking flash drive. He kicked upward toward the moonlight, toward the next chapter of truth. The lagoon swallowed Jordan whole. Cold, silent, black. His lungs screamed as he forced his body deeper, chasing the faint glimmer of the flash drive tumbling toward the bottom. It felt like forever before his fingers brushed it, but when he grabbed it, something else caught his ankle. A rope or a net. He kicked hard, desperate, his chest tightening, vision blurring. Above him, the surface rippled with flashes of light, Balogun's men sweeping the water with torches. A gun fired again, a muffled pop under the surface. Bubbles burst around him. He pushed harder, fighting upward until his head broke through the surface with a gasp that split the night. There? Someone shouted from the jetty. Another gunshot cracked. Jordan dove again, swimming under the planks toward the bridge pillars. His muscles burned, his mind repeating one thought, survive. Don't die now. When he resurfaced near one of the concrete supports, he dragged himself onto a low ledge, coughing violently. The flash drive was still clenched in his fist. Far above him, Balogun's voice echoed through the night. Search both sides. He can't swim forever. Jordan pressed his back against the concrete and stayed still. The gunman's flashlights swept across the water like restless ghosts. Then slowly they began to fade. Meanwhile, on the jetty, chaos reigned. Saad crouched behind an overturned crate, holding Aaliyah close. Stay quiet, she whispered. Aaliyah trembled. You think he's alive? Sada's voice hardened. Jordan Adeyemi isn't the kind of man who dies easy. Balogun barked orders. Find the women. They're useless without him. Saad gritted her teeth. Then let's make sure they stay useless. She pulled out her phone, typing quickly before tossing it into the water. That'll ping a fake location. They'll think we escaped by boat. Aaliyah stared at her. You've done this before. Saad met her gaze. You don't survive men like Lark and Balogun by playing fair. Balogun's men spread out. One step too close. Saad lunged, hitting him square with a rusted metal pipe she'd found earlier. The man dropped instantly. His gun clattered to the ground. Run, she yelled. They bolted, cutting through the dark path that led toward the old ferry station. The night air tore through their hair. Behind them, shouts and gunfire erupted again. They didn't stop until they reached a cluster of abandoned shops near the water's edge. There they ducked inside a small wooden shack. Saad peeked through a crack in the wall. They've lost us for now. Aaliyah collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. This is my fault. If I hadn't married him, if I hadn't fallen for the money. Sada's tone softened. Aaliyah, stop. You made a mistake. But tonight you ran through gunfire for him. That counts for something. Aaliyah looked up, eyes red. You really believe he's alive? Saad smiled faintly. I've seen the way that man fights for the people he loves. He's not gone. 2 hours later, Lagos mainland under the bridge. Jordan stumbled out of the water, drenched, shivering but alive. He fell to his knees in the mud, coughing out river water. The flash drive was still in his hand, covered in slime. He stared up at the bridge lights far above, then whispered to himself, Mama, what did you hide from me? A pair of headlights appeared in the distance. A motorcycle approached, its engine echoing beneath the bridge. Jordan tensed, ready to run, but the bike slowed. The rider pulled off his helmet. It was one of Jordan's security men, Chike. Boss, I thought you were dead. Almost, Jordan rasped. Balogun's gone rogue. He has half the police in his pocket. You need to get me to somewhere safe. Chike nodded quickly. We have a safe house in Surulere. Come. As the motorcycle roared down the quiet road, Jordan clutched the flash drive close. He knew now that the drive held more than documents. It held secrets powerful enough to destroy families, governments, and maybe even his mother. Surulere, for him. The safe house was small but secure, guarded by 2 trusted men. Inside, Jordan changed into dry clothes, his mind restless. Saad and Aaliyah arrived at dawn, exhausted but alive. When they saw him, Aaliyah burst into tears and hugged him tightly. You're alive. I thought. I told you, Saad said, smiling. He's too stubborn to die. Jordan managed a weak smile. We're not safe yet. Balogun knows I have the drive. Saad nodded. Then we finish what your parents started. They plugged the flash drive into Sada's laptop. The files loaded, hundreds of encrypted documents, recordings, and offshore account details. But one video file was labeled differently, Our Final Confession. Jordan's heart pounded as Saad clicked play. His mother's face appeared again, this time tired, pale, but fierce. Jordan, if this finds you, then my time is over. The truth is heavier than love, but you deserve both. Your father, Michael Adeyemi, was not killed by the syndicate. He joined them. He sold his company shares for protection and turned against me when I refused to hand over yours. The man you met in Abeokuta, that was not your father. It was his double, a body planted to erase the truth. Your real father leads the syndicate now. Jordan froze. What? The video continued. I tried to protect you by destroying his legacy and hiding everything in my name. But I failed. Now he wants you dead so he can reclaim what I took. The man you once called father is not who you think. If you want to end this, you must expose him publicly. Don't come looking for me, my son. I'm already in hiding. But if fate allows, we'll meet again. The screen went black. Saad looked at him wide-eyed. Jordan, your real father is alive. And he's the head of the syndicate. Jordan stood slowly, his jaw tightening. Then it's time he learns his son isn't a pawn. Aaliyah stepped closer. Jordan, you're talking about going up against the most powerful man in the country. He turned to her, eyes like steel. He might be powerful, but he's forgotten one thing. What? Saad asked. Jordan stared out the window at the rising sun. I'm his son, and I know how he thinks. Saad exhaled. Then what's the plan? He smiled faintly. We make him come to me. The same way Mama made Lark show his hand. Later that day, Lagos Island. Balogun's phone buzzed. He picked it up, frowning at the unknown number. A voice came through, calm, confident, familiar. Inspector, Jordan said. Tell my father I'm ready to negotiate. But only in one place, the lagoon jetty. Midnight. Balogun's eyes narrowed. You have no idea what you're starting, boy? Jordan's voice hardened. No, Inspector. I'm ending it. He hung up. Behind him, Saad smiled grimly. Midnight showdown at the lagoon, poetic. Aaliyah looked anxious. Are you sure this is the right move? Jordan pocketed the flash drive. Mama said the mirror of water shows what's hidden. By tomorrow, the whole world will see everything. He turned toward the fading sunset, his silhouette sharp against the light. The stage was set. The son versus the father. The truth versus the empire. And somewhere in the shadows of the city, a woman watched from a car window, her scarf pulled low, her eyes filled with both fear and pride. Stay alive, my son, Mama Ronke whispered. Finish what I started. The car drove off into the night. Midnight. The lagoon slept under a shroud of fog, the bridge lights glowing faintly like tired stars. The old jetty stood quiet, half-rotten and swaying with the wind. Every ripple in the water whispered secrets. Every creak of wood carried ghosts. Jordan stood at the edge, wearing a black suit, his father's old cufflinks glinting faintly under the moon. He had chosen to face the night not as a victim, but as an Adeyemi ready to claim the truth. Behind him, Saad watched the perimeter with a pistol drawn, while Aaliyah stood beside the car, fear and faith fighting in her eyes. "This feels like the end of a movie," she said softly. Jordan gave a faint smile. "No. It's the beginning of a new one." Saad looked at her watch. "It's time." Headlights appeared through the mist. 3 black SUVs rolled to a stop. Men in suits stepped out first, weapons visible beneath their jackets. Then the back door opened, and out stepped Michael Adeyemi. Alive. Older. Harder. His once gentle eyes were sharp as glass. The very sight of him made the air grow colder. Jordan's breath caught. "You really are alive." Michael smiled. "You sound disappointed, son." Jordan took a step forward. "Disappointed? I buried your memory, built an empire in your name, and now I find out you're running a criminal syndicate that destroyed lives." Michael's tone was calm, deliberate. "I built what I had to. You think power grows on prayers? The world respects those who take, not those who wait. Your mother never understood that." Saad muttered under her breath. "And that's how monsters are born." Michael's gaze flicked to her. "Ah, the little spy. You were Lark's pet project, weren't you?" "I remember." Jordan's fists clenched. "Where's my mother?" Michael smirked. "She was here, until she realized I didn't need her anymore." A gunshot echoed. Everyone froze. A bullet hit the ground inches from Michael's feet. A voice rang out, clear, powerful from the shadows. "She's still here." All heads turned. From the mist, Mama Ronke stepped forward, wrapped in a dark shawl, eyes blazing. She looked tired but strong, a woman who had survived every storm life threw at her. "Ronke," Michael said coldly, "you never learn." She stopped beside Jordan, her hand on his shoulder. "And you never change. You still mistake fear for respect." "Tell the boy the truth," Michael said. "Tell him how you used him as bait to draw me out. Tell him you signed half the empire to your own name before running away." Jordan turned to her, pain flashing in his eyes. "Is that true?" Mama Ronke hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. But not for greed, my son. For protection. Every time your father built something, the syndicate took it. I needed to make sure at least one Adeyemi kept what was his." Michael laughed softly. "And in doing so you betrayed me." "I saved you," she snapped. "But you became what I feared most. The kind of man who burns the world for control." Michael's men raised their guns. Ronke's eyes didn't waver. "You won't shoot me, Michael," she said quietly. "You always loved your image too much to dirty your hands in public." Michael smirked. "Who said I need to?" He nodded to Balogun, who stepped forward from behind one of the SUVs, gun aimed squarely at Jordan. Saad cursed. "I knew that rat would show up again." Balogun sneered. "Drop the drive, Adeyemi. Or your mother watches you die." Jordan held the small flash drive between 2 fingers. "You want it so badly?" He raised it toward the lagoon. "Then go fish for it again." He threw it high into the air. Every gun swung upward. Every head followed the motion. That was all he needed. Saad kicked over a gas canister she had hidden behind a crate earlier. It burst, spraying the air with fumes. She lit a flare and hurled it. Flames erupted in a wall between them and Michael's men. Gunfire erupted. Bullets hissed through the smoke. Jordan pulled his mother down behind the crates as Aaliyah screamed and ducked near the car. "Move toward the dock," Saad yelled. "Now." They sprinted toward the water. The heat scorched their backs as the fire spread across the jetty. Michael's voice roared through the smoke. "You think this ends tonight? You're still my blood, Jordan. Everything you own, everything you are, belongs to me." Jordan turned, face lit by fire. "No, father. Tonight, you lose both your son and your shadow." A helicopter's roar filled the air, spotlights sweeping the scene. Police sirens wailed from both sides of the bridge. Michael cursed. "You called them?" Jordan smiled grimly. "No. Mama did. She planned this before I even knew the truth." Mama Ronke stood tall beside him, her voice fierce. "You built your empire with lies, Michael. Now the world will see you as you really are." Michael's men hesitated, realizing they were surrounded. Balogun shouted, "We're compromised. Pull out." But it was too late. SWAT officers stormed the jetty from both ends. Michael turned, fury on his face, and tried to run toward the SUV, but Saad aimed, firing one clean shot that hit his shoulder. He stumbled, clutching his arm, and glared back at her. "You'll regret that, girl." Saad aimed again. "Maybe. But not tonight." The officers seized Balogun and the other gunman, dragging them away. Michael fell to his knees as handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Jordan stood over him, breathing hard, every muscle tight. Michael looked up at his son. "You think you've won?" he hissed. "You're nothing without me. You always needed someone to protect you." Jordan shook his head. "You're wrong. I just needed to stop protecting you." The police hauled Michael to his feet. His eyes lingered on Ronke one last time. "You ruined everything." She met his gaze with quiet strength. "No, Michael. I saved what little was left." The officers dragged him toward the waiting convoy. The sound of sirens faded into the night. Hours later, the first light of dawn broke over the lagoon. The fire was gone, replaced by mist and quiet waves. Jordan stood at the edge of the water with his mother, Aaliyah, and Saad. "It's over," Saad said softly. Jordan looked out across the water. "No, it's just beginning. The world will know what the syndicate has done. I'll rebuild the Adeyemi name, clean this time." Aaliyah stepped closer. "And your father?" Jordan's voice was low. "Let justice handle him. I've carried enough hate." Mama Ronke smiled faintly, tears shining in her eyes. "Your father may have built the empire, but you'll build its legacy." He turned to her. "Are you staying?" She sighed. "No. I've done my part. The world needs to forget me so you can stand alone. But I'll always watch over you." Jordan pulled her into an embrace. "I love you, Mama," she whispered, "and I've always loved you, my son. Even when you doubted me." Saad watched them quietly, then looked toward the sunrise. "What now?" Jordan took a deep breath, the lagoon wind brushing his face. "Now, we tell the world everything." He looked at the camera crew that had arrived, journalists waiting for a statement. He had sent the evidence to every major network before the fight. By noon, the syndicate's crimes would be broadcast across Nigeria. As he stepped forward to speak to the press, Saad nudged Aaliyah gently. "He did it. He really did it." Aaliyah smiled faintly. "He was never just a billionaire. He was a man who refused to be owned." The camera lights blinked red. Jordan faced them, his voice steady. "My name is Jordan Adeyemi. I am the son of Michael and Ronke Adeyemi. Tonight, I witnessed the end of a legacy built on greed, and the birth of one built on truth. Let this be a warning to every empire built on lies. No shadow can stand forever against the sunrise." The crowd erupted in applause. As the sun rose higher, the lagoon shimmered like glass, the same mirror of water his mother had spoken of. In it he saw their reflections, his, Saada's, Aaliyah's, and his mother's, distant but smiling. For the first time Jordan felt free. "Before you go, tell us in the comments. Thought Balloon, what did you think of Jordan's decision to expose his father? Would you have done the same or walked away? And if you enjoyed this emotional, suspenseful African story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Stay tuned for the next powerful story on our channel, where every tale reveals a truth hidden beneath the surface.